Welcome to the beautiful new Windsor Star building at 300 Alette Avenue. I am Karen Hall, an editorial writer and columnist.
What a great night for Windsor newspapers. I'd like to say that I'm Craig Pearson. I'm a Windsor Star reporter, writer, poster, blogger, tweeter, Instagrammer, and whatever's the next thinger that's going to keep me permanently on deadline.
Blah, blah, blah. I don't blog, I don't tweet, I don't candygram. I'll just tell you that in this place I ordered the toner and the toilet paper. I have the key to the lockbox and I am extremely popular. That's all I want to say. And I want to thank you also for coming to this grand opening. We're very proud to show off this stylish new building, but we want to make it very clear that we have not forgotten where we came from. Our heart, our soul is still at the old Mother Star at 167 Ferry. Where's Alan? Now your problem, darling. Okay. We just thought it was time to incorporate some amenities into our lifestyle, right? You know, running water, heat, air conditioning, cable television, a party line so we could call out, and an electric typewriter or two. We're very happy.
The Windsor Star has obviously evolved a lot since it opened as a weekly in 1888. We now have a lot of high-tech equipment such as these screens that track live data. We now know how many people are reading what story at any given time. And all this new technology allows us to get the news up on our website almost immediately so other media can report it too.
And they do. And as you can see, we moved to the most happening corner of Windsor. We have all these glass windows here. It's gorgeous. We can sit here. That's my seat. Now, put up your hand, honey. I sit there. You can sit here and watch everything going on downtown. You never have to get off your butt. You never have to go outside and do anything. Although, I mean, I'm just saying, that's what I heard.
Yes, well, this comes from a woman whose motto is, hey, if there's news out there, it's news to me.
That's so true.
We recently found out, by the way, that we are #1 in Canada for per capita readership, which I found out anyway by reading the Windsor Star.
He was homesick that day, that's how he got to see it.
And that just means that this area has a lot of news that's fit to print.
So let's turn to some newsmakers, okay? First, we want to hear from a man who originally thought this would make a really good call center. Which is just like so ridiculous because reporters don't call anyone. We don't have to. We just make up the frickin' news. That's how it goes. But no, this individual that I would like to bring up in his lovely orange tie, we were just thinking tonight that maybe someday we should write about you because we seem to get a lot of response when your name's in the paper. Mayor Eddie Francis, would you take the stage?
Good evening, everyone. I'm somewhat envious. Running water, functioning toilets, lights that work, carpet with no holes. For those of you that are not from the city of Windsor, with this new development, it is now official. City Hall is the oldest building in the downtown core that continues to fall apart. It's a pleasure to be here and celebrate. This is a celebration. And I'm not going to spend so much time, but I would very much love to, and I do want to share with you some of the history that's gone into this development. And for many of you that are here, many of the family of the Windsor Star, both extended family and others, this is a very significant day that I'm sure you know about and you will hear about from Marty and from Paul and from the other staff members in terms of what this means as it relates to the development of the Windsor Star. The Windsor Star has always been the record in this community, telling of our stories, speaking of our highs, and certainly speaking of our lows, but it has been the constant reminder of what is strong about this community, what is important in this community. So this is a very important day, but it's also a very important day for the city and for our downtown. Paul, just so you know, 8 or 9 years ago, downtown was 25,000 kids from across the river, and it was known to be a kiddie bar. And very few people even considered making investments in our downtown core. The transformation that we've undertaken in our downtown, with the college, with the university, with the other developments that are taking place, has changed the face of our downtown to the point where people now are coming downtown, where people want to be downtown. And the fact that this celebration is taking place tonight right here downtown on this prominent corner is another indication of that. And when we redid the development plans for the downtown core, we weren't looking building by building, we were looking block by block. And that's the type of transformation we wanted to undertake. And Marty was there, the Windsor Star was there. They knew that they had a role to play, and they did not hesitate in saying that we want to be part of the city. We want to be part of the community, we want to be part of the development, and we belong downtown. Not only do we belong downtown, this is an opportunity for us to do something different. Our platform is no longer just in the building, but it's also outside of the building. And that's what's so important about this development. So yes, it's great you guys got a new place. It's great now I know how you guys come up with your stories. It's great that the staff have the opportunity to work in these great surroundings. But what we're on the verge of right now with this development, and I'm grateful to the Windsor Star, to Marty, to Paul, to everybody that's been involved, what you've done is you've taken community development to the next step. You've taken it to the next step by investing here, by saying you want to be here, and by opening your doors to the community. I also want to recognize David Mady and the Mady family and the Mady Corp for being there and for working with us as part of this transformation. And that applause is so well deserved, because before we even talked about the possibility of the Windsor Star being in this building, and when we were undertaking plans for the vision for the redevelopment of this block to complement what was happening next door at the Armories, people said it could not be done. People said there's no way you can take a movie theater and do anything with it. People were quick to cast doubt on the opportunities that existed. David was there, the Mady group was there, and not only were they there, they were prepared to move heaven and earth to transform this building, and transform it they did. So thank you and congratulations for a job well done. I'm going to ask, if I can ask Mr. Godfrey, Marty, and David to come up. I've got a special presentation that I'd like to make to each of them, the big ones first. So on behalf of myself and the residents and the council, we are presenting an artist depiction of the former Windsor Star building on Ferry with a new Windsor Star building now. And one of our favorite quotes, the farther backward you can look, the farther forward you can see, from Winston Churchill. So congratulations.
Turn around, guys. There we go. You're good. Good, guys. One more. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was a lovely introduction. In fact, they read it exactly the way I wrote it for them. So, ladies and gentlemen, I realized this was called the Palace. But when I walked in tonight to take a look at it, I can really describe it as palatial. It's absolutely wonderful to see this. Marty took me on a tour of it when they were tearing everything apart. It's hard to believe that such a transformation could take place and it could look as palatial as it does tonight. I had the opportunity, along with Marty, to speak to the president of the University of Windsor on one of my trips. We talked about the possibility of selling the previous building to the university. And you know, when we reflect back on it, as we do now, it was a win for the University of Windsor. It was a win for the Windsor Star. But most of all, as the mayor said, it was a big win for the city of Windsor. And I think everybody knows that newspapers are having their difficulties these days as print advertising declines and we start to expand on the various platforms, whether it's print, the web, the tablet, or the smartphone. But you people in Windsor are one step ahead of everybody else, because you've got a new platform in this LED that's outside this building, and God bless you for it. So once again, based on the innovation and vision of the staff here and the leadership of Marty Beneteau, that Windsor can set an example for other newspapers and other businesses in Canada. So Marty, congratulations to you. Marty's been the real catalyst to make a lot of things happen in the day-to-day operation of the paper. Luke Clancy, Wayne Parrish and I came down, we were talking about how Windsor really has moved the yardsticks forward and has been an example for our other 9 newspapers in the country to follow. I'm not surprised that it's the leader on a per capita basis as far as readership as described by NADBank. And I think when you develop a working environment like it's been developed here today, the Windsor Star has a long and healthy life ahead of it. Because if you have a happy place to work in, you're going to get a better performance from the people who give it their best every day. And I know, Mr. Mayor, as a former politician myself, I often disagreed with newspapers a lot. But at the end of the day, every community needs a strong newspaper. It needs a democratic voice. It needs opinion expressed by a number of people. So I tip my hat to all the people here at the Windsor Star, and may you have a long life and a lot of celebrations and continued success to everybody. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight the theme of this evening for me is love and promises. In my teens, I worked as a errand boy for a small plumbing company based about 10 blocks that way. We were in the downtown. Yes, in fact, there were plumbers in the downtown back in that day. We had many downtown clients, banks, shops. One of our best clients was the Windsor Star at 167 Ferry Street. And I'm sorry to tell you this, Alan, but as anyone who knows the building can attest, it was leaky even back then. We had lots of calls to the Windsor Star. And for a 14-year-old, spending that much time at the Windsor Star had quite an impact. I felt that I had found a land of great mystery and mystique, a very exciting place. To and froing reporters going out to their jobs, columnists debating, the merits of the Vietnam War, award-winning photographers and editorial cartoonists and writers, all sharing their creativity. I remember some of these people were just absolute titans in our community. The acid-tongued columnist John Lindblad, who's the predecessor to folks like Chris Vanderdoel and Ann Jarvis today. Jack Dalgleish, the photographer who had left the paper temporarily in the 40s to go to serve as a war correspondent in the Second World War and took photographs in the European theater. Jack Dulmage, the sports columnist who was revered in Canada, right up there with Milt Dunnell as one of the deans of sports writing in this country. And John Laycock, one of the first full-time rock critics in Canada. John covered the Beatles and the Stones, and he covered Jimi Hendrix in Detroit just months before Hendrix passed away in '68. And this was quite a world opening up to me, even as a youngster. And everyone had a nickname. There was Jim Madman McKay, and Walter Action Jackson, and Mike Lefty Frizzell. And you only arrived at the Windsor Star after you had a nickname. And I thought, wow, what a place. Like, these guys get paid to write. They get paid to take photographs. I do it for free. They got paid to challenge authority. They got paid to be irreverent. They got paid to be funny. They got paid to be thoughtful. And this quite struck me. They had quite over-the-top habits back then. They drank profusely, smoked about the same amount, and they had a place called the Press Club where they were welcomed and encouraged to do both in mass quantities. So it was quite something, and I thought to myself, my God, I've discovered the land of Oz. You had the editor-in-chief, who was kind of the guy behind the curtain pulling the levers. Didn't really have all the power he thought he did, but he was pulling the levers, and really not much has changed since that time. And you had all these crusaders out there in the newsroom. You had tin men, and you had lions, and you had you know, all these great characters who were out crusading for the truth, and were out trying to improve democracy, and were out trying to entertain their readers. And I thought to myself, you know, I can write a little bit, and I'm a little bit challenged when it comes to authority. So maybe this is something I could do. And I said, maybe someday I'll land my balloon in this land of Oz. And so I went off to journalism school, and always hoping that maybe someday I would be just decent enough to be able to come back and get a job in my hometown newspaper. And it was during my second year at Ryerson that a columnist in the Toronto media wrote a piece essentially saying that Windsor was a basket case, it was during one of our economic downturns, and that it should be padlocked. And I took offense to that and wrote a little piece in the Ryersonian campus newspaper under the headline, "Windsor is okay." And I defended my hometown. And I think it was on the basis of that that I received my first summer internship position at the Windsor Star, and I was able to come back. And on my first day at the Windsor Star, I was sent out to do something called cruising, and it's not what you think. Back then, a reporter would get into a car with a photographer and go out and look for certain photographs. Well, our assignment was to go out and shoot hot weather photographs. And the photographer was none other than that famous war correspondent, Jack Daglish, so I was in awe. And our assignment was to go out and shoot hot weather shots, so we essentially spent the entire day going to every beach on both lakes and shooting pictures of scantily clad people enjoying the hot weather. We concluded, we stopped for lunch at the Meadows Tavern, had a great lunch, and I thought this is quite enjoyable. And then we went back to Jack Daglish's apartment out on the drive, and he reached into a drawer and he pulled out two things. One was a bottle of scotch and two glasses, and one was a very nice finished and printed photograph of a hot weather scene. I don't think he ever printed anything that he shot that day. And I thought to myself, this is fabulous. I love this job. So that's where love came in. If you fast forward about 35 years or so, about 2 years ago when Postmedia asked me to take the helm of the Windsor Star, one of my first public speaking engagements was to the Chamber of Commerce Business Excellence Awards. And I remember it vividly. It was frightening. But I remember saying to the group there, please don't think of the Windsor Star as just another business. Please think of us how I think of us, which is as an institution in this community. No different than the university and the college and the art gallery and the symphony. And we have that kind of importance and we have that kind of validity in people's lives, and we try to earn that every day. Please think of us this way. And I remember kind of commiserating with everyone and saying, you know, I get it, times are tough for us as well. We're trying to reinvent ourselves, you know, we're taking our game into the digital world and really testing ourselves, and we're trying to become less of a dictation and more of a conversation with our readers. And at one point in time, and I had this penchant for quoting audacious movie characters, I sort of looked up to the crowd and I said, we will not go quietly into the night. And I was quoting the president from Independence Day. And couldn't do much better than that. So when I look around this place today, I look at what we've done. I look at the change in this place. I look at the transformation of the Windsor Star. I look at a place probably unlike any in this country in which all of these things are under one roof. An open concept newsroom like this, a cafe, LED screens. I don't think it's been matched in this country. And I say to myself, promise kept. Promise kept. We have said we were going to not go quietly at night, and we are not quiet here by any means. We have staked our ground. It was just a little over 2 years ago, but it feels like a lifetime ago that I first had almost a chance meeting with Alan Wilderman, in which we started talking about the downtown and about students in the downtown, which is something I've always been strongly in favor of. We just started having chats, and we started talking about the Windsor Star building, and what a journey it's been since that time. And so Alan, you're the first person I want to say thank you to. Thank you for being a very motivated buyer. Alan and I as you may read in our section that we're printing in the next week or so, we would often meet at rock bottom for what we called our one beer lunches. We allowed ourselves one beer. Alan wouldn't have one if he was going to a speaking engagement, but I would have his. And over our one beer lunches, we sort of kept talking about this process and moving it forward. So Alan, you are an honorable man. Thank you for that. I also have to recognize Sandra Pupatello and Dwight Duncan, who were Liberal cabinet ministers at that time, saw the need to make this sort of investment, supported us wholeheartedly. Thank you for putting the taxpayers' money where my mouth is. I want to thank Mayor Francis. Wow, what a force. He's been offering me terrific guidance. I think that's the system. How's that working? Mayor Francis was a guiding force for me in this process because he cares so deeply about his city and about his downtown. And Mayor Francis did me one great favor in introducing me to the best darn landlord in Windsor. So thank you, Mayor Francis. As we made this journey, and it was a pretty quick journey, we consider that demolition of this building started a year ago, February, and they moved us in November. It was quite a transformation. We developed a lot of friendships and allies and partners through time. Two of them being the people I call our guardian angels of good design, Miranda Klapowicz from Monarch Basics, who helped us go through more than 50 iterations of our floor plan here to get this thing right, and Helena Ventrella from Helena Ventrella Designs, who taught me the difference between Hudson Bay Blue and Iced Tea Brown, because I wouldn't have known the difference. And that there is importance in color. Is Helena here? Hi, Helena. We made a great partnership with the Green Bean Cafe, and I don't know if Ben and Michelle are here or downstairs doing dishes, but this great food you're being supplied, and this cafe that we're going to be, there they are over there, Ben and Michelle. We are so delighted to be working with Ben and Michelle. They are the most decent people out there, and they're fabulous entrepreneurs and have a great spirit about them. So we're going to build this place one panini at a time with your help, so thanks very much. Provincial Sign Systems, our partners in crime on the big LED boards. Paul Cotton is here tonight. Paul, thank you very much. Wherever you are, you've been right over there. Thanks very much. Been tremendously helpful. The Post Media team, led here by Paul Godfrey. We did this deal, we tried to do this deal on our own, but I always said to this group that when the water level gets up to my chin, please stop me from drowning. And that's what they did for me. And I thank you, Paul, Wayne, and the rest of the team from Post Media here tonight for your support. To David Mady and the Mady team, and to Chuck. Wow, did I learn a lot from these guys. And they could have really taken advantage of a rookie in me. But I learned at the outset that before I bought into a project, I bought into a person, and I bought into David Mady and his vision for what we do here. David, you've been just a fabulous partner. I think we really worked together, and the Madys invited us to be a part of this building, not just sort of hand us something. And you've been a great partner, supporter, and I think a friend, and I applaud you for that. Thank you. In case you don't believe in serendipity and fate, it was in 1985 when Chuck Mady bought this building, and I was the City Hall reporter of the Windsor Star, and the story that told that about his purchase of the Palace building in 1985 was written by me.
This party, like the press club, means that everything is off the record. But please remember, don't feed the journalists. Thank you for celebrating with us, and keep following us online and on your porch.
But wait, now you need to follow us downstairs, 3rd floor, Bartini, everybody. Let's go.